Hello friends, and welcome to my packaging station. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Kat, and I own the shop RusticPagesCo on Etsy. Today I thought I'd film my first package with me sort of video, while I share some of my advice on running a shop and selling my artwork online. Recently, I added a question box in my Instagram stories to get a feel for your common questions, so I hope to cover everything I can in this video. But before diving in, I do want to preface this with I do not claim to be an expert. Everything I have to say is based off of my own experience, and if you have anything to add, please let us know in the comments below. I'm all for creators helping creators and fully believe that there is always room to uplift each other so that we all can thrive. The most common theme amongst your questions centered around how to start and get noticed, especially on Etsy, which is where I personally prefer to sell from. Etsy recommends to have at least 10 listings, but according to them, the more the merrier, since the more listings that you have up, the bigger a chance of your shop being discovered by a customer browsing the site. I personally think that there is a bit of a balance where it's good to, yes, fill your shop as much as possible, but over time, and this goes for whichever platform you sell through, I think it's crucial to take note of what is performing well and create more along the lines of what people seem to be interested in. Then, removing listings that aren't performing well and replacing them with creations that are more similar to what is. Of course, there is a balance to this. You want what you are creating to be something that you enjoy making, that represents the brand you are creating, and that does well with your audience. And honestly, finding something that ticks each of these boxes can be challenging. It took me years to find my own example of this in my window bookmarks. I created the first summer rainy day window last summer and was shocked with how well it was received. On top of it, I so enjoyed creating it and feel it very well represents me as an artist. And I think if any of you guys come from my Instagram, you would very much agree. It's something I'm so proud to be at the forefront of my shop, and I can't thank you all enough for making it the success that it is today. I took that idea and expanded on it. First with each season and then branching out, and I have more ideas to come. But it can be challenging to find the one that sparks it all, and the only real way to test it out is to put out your work and wait for the response. I've released some products that I thought would do really well and absolutely flopped. I've released some I didn't think would do all that great that went way beyond my expectations. I think it's good to try it all as much as you can, and don't let the pieces that flop discourage you. It's bound to happen, and it's all a part of the process. Focus on what does well, what gets attention, and if you feel you haven't found it yet, keep creating, keep bettering your skill, and most importantly, keep putting yourself out there. It took me years of selling online, let alone the rest of my artist lifespan, to find this very specific niche, so please don't give up on yourself. Now, this idea of trying it all brings me to my next piece of advice, and that is to start small and expand when ready. What I mean by this is don't stock hundreds of a new product before you know how it will perform, because as I said before, you more than likely will have low-performing products. I'd recommend trying a little bit of everything instead of investing heavily into one thing. If said thing does well, that's when you should expand. Learn from it and do more of what is doing well. I've made the mistake of putting my all into a new product that I had no idea how it would perform, and I've lost money that way. So learn from my own mistakes. As I mentioned about waiting to invest until you know a product does well, in the beginning I used to print, laminate, cut, etc. all of my bookmarks, and this was incredibly time consuming. And though fine in the beginning when sales were a lot lower, this last holiday season I had to really figure out an alternative method, and I ended up finding and loving a very specific printing, laminating, cutting, etc. third-party company that has greatly decreased my workload. I personally don't think these kind of companies are needed in the beginning, especially if you have the time and resources and energy to create each of your pieces. But once sales get high enough and you're ready to take that step, I'd highly recommend, because it has given me my own creativity back, and I have time now to make new products and to live my life a bit again. I do still print and cut certain pieces. As you saw in the beginning, I still print and cut my reading trackers, which I don't know how long I'm going to keep them around for because of the direction that I foresee my shop moving in. But for now, they have been a fun one to create for you guys. And I still do print my 8x10 prints at home. But the rest of my products, especially my high selling ones, are all done for me, and I am so grateful for that. Now, I wouldn't recommend this in the beginning because I personally find that these kind of printing companies are only worth it if you're buying in large bulk stock, whereas you're going to make a whole lot less money if they are in smaller quantities. So I would wait until you have the sales to really go all out in stocking these products. And again, make sure that they are something that sell well, do well with your audience, and is in the direction that you want your shop to go into. I do want to add that a great stepping stone, if you don't have the time or space for packaging and making your own products, there are plenty of sites online where all you have to do is upload your art, choose what you want it on, and they take care of the rest. A great example of this is Society6. You can direct all traffic to your account on their site, and when customers buy, Society6 will create, package, and send your product directly to them. They do take a much bigger cut than if you were doing it all yourself, but if you are a student, have a full-time job, or are caring for a family, whatever the case may be and your hands are already full, this may be a great little something on the side that is much less demanding. I started on a website like this when I was working multiple jobs, fresh out of college, which the specific website I used, I wouldn't recommend, and if I were to do it again today, I would choose Society6, which is why I mentioned it earlier for my example. But I did wait to start creating products myself and eventually switched to Etsy when I decided it was something I did want to pursue. So I just wanted to throw out this little stepping stone kind of option for those who are unsure if they want to make that kind of time and space commitment. Now, if you're struggling for your shop to be seen, I do recommend promoting your work on social media. I know some may be hesitant because I know I was. You don't want to feel like you're begging your friends and family to buy your art. That's not the point of it. And you can go about it in a way where you aren't asking for sales. You are simply sharing your creations, getting excited about it, and essentially reminding people you even have a shop. People are busy focusing on their own lives, as they should be. And so don't worry too much about being annoying with how much you share. I am constantly sharing, and there are still people today who message me surprised that I have an online shop because they totally missed my art posts, or maybe just missed the fact that they were my own art products that I was showing off in the first place. In addition, reviews are pretty important, and I'd recommend adding a reminder card to the purchases that you do get. I personally have my business cards that on the back thanks them and gently prompts to leave a review. This can be helpful in the long run, and if you aren't ready to invest in business cards just yet, a printed and cut out thank you note works just as well. I'd also recommend adding maybe a % off for their next purchase for your returning customers, because something I've learned is that returning customers are huge, far more so than I expected. And lastly on this topic, do spend some time researching your SEO. If you are new to this term, it stands for Search Engine Optimization. My biggest tip for keywords is to search on Etsy yourself and see what search results and specific wording seems to be popular and utilize those. For example, when I type in Hobbit, I see suggested terms such as Hobbitcore, Hobbit decor. Make sure the terms you use relate to your listings, of course, but using specific often search for terms can help you rank higher. Another tip for ranking higher, specifically within Etsy, is to offer free shipping. I've tested both methods. I've lowered my prices and added shipping to the end of checkout, and though I noticed an increase in initial clicks because of the cheaper product, there was a lot less follow-through when they got to checkout and saw that there's an added on shipping cost, especially with the low ticket items like in my own shop where shipping could easily cost the same price as the item that they are purchasing. While when I offer free shipping, customers get the full price that they will pay upfront without the extra surprise of an added cost at the end, and I noticed a distinct increase in sales using this method. In addition, Etsy has mentioned that listings do rank better when offering free shipping in their own algorithm, so you might as well give yourself that added edge. But please make sure you are incorporating the shipping costs within your product prices. I believe Etsy does have an option to figure out this added cost for you, but regardless, ensure that you are making a profit for all of your hard work. This being said, I'm only able to offer free shipping on domestic orders, and I do have to still charge an additional cost to international orders, unfortunately. But it is at least discounted for them and a little less jarring than if I were to have that price in full at the end of checkout. I wish I didn't have to, but again, make sure you are making a profit, especially when going this route and offering free or discounted shipping. Fully do your research on how much your products cost to ship so you aren't surprised by a higher than anticipated price that eats up what you should have earned. My last topic I want to cover today is packaging supplies. This video probably has covered a lot of those questions, and for specifics, I will have everything I used here today listed below. Personally, I find myself constantly buying envelopes and my cardboard inserts, and those are the two items that often take a bit to ship or go on back order around the holidays, so I make sure to always be ahead in restocking those items. The rest I could easily pick up at the store if I needed it same day, so it's not as much of an issue. And that is all I have for today's video, but if you have any other questions or would like to see more of these kind of videos, please let me know in the comments. I wish you all the best of luck in your art and small business ventures, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Thank you all for watching.